name is Caleb Holmes, and I'm joined again with my faithful companions, Gabe DeGroots.
Hey.
Kylie Howard.
Hey.
And Christian, what is your last name?
Lynch.
Seriously?
I'm sorry. Christian Lynch. Today we will be interviewing a very special guest. His name is Mr. Jack Bryant, and he is the president of Redlands Community College. President Bryant, how are you today?
I'm just fine. I appreciate the opportunity to be here.
Yeah. Well, I'm glad you're here. I was told by a lot of people, a lot of professors, that you are a very interesting man to talk to. And so I'm really excited about this episode. You have a lot of really great stories.
We'll see about that.
Are you guys ready?
Yeah.
All right. So the first question, where did you attend college?
Well, actually, I went to several different schools. I started my college courses when I was in the military. So I did what was called college at sea through the Navy, took a few classes there. But when I got out of the service, I went to Connors State College for my associate degree. Got an undergraduate associate of journalism, and then transferred from there to Northeastern State University in Tahlequah, where I completed a bachelor's in journalism communications. It was a dual major. Then I went on to go to college at Pittsburgh State University while I was working at a college in Kansas. Started my master's program there, then transferred to UCO when I came to Redlands the first time, and completed a master's in community junior college education with a dual major in communications. And then I started my doctoral program through Oklahoma State University.
Wow.
So, yeah,
Impressively.
yeah, I know.
I don't know. It's hard to keep me in one school, I think is what it really boils down to.
Wow. So what was your favorite college that you went to?
Redlands, of
It
course.
was Redlands?
Yeah. Actually, I never attended classes here. But probably UCO was one of the best experiences I feel like I had. I'm still very much involved with UCO alumni, and it was just a good experience. I was one of the last classes to go through the community junior college education in its original concept. And they've revamped the program now. So it was really interesting because the way they had set that program up for the master's program was that you did 18 hours in your discipline as well as took the community junior college education courses. And that was a nice fit for us, especially now with the Higher Learning Commission requirements that you have to have 18 hours at the master's level in your discipline to teach. So it was a good program. I hated to see it go away. It's still there, but it's in a different format now, and it's not quite the same. But I had a very good experience there. I've actually enjoyed all the colleges I've attended.
Nice. Well, I read the email about you had an agreement with UCO. Is that?
Yes, I did. We just actually completed an agreement with them. One of the things I serve as on the President's Advisory Board for Phi Theta Kappa, the International Honor Society, and I've been working with UCO to try and set up a series of transfer scholarships to UCO from Redlands. My eventual goal is to get this to all the state colleges, but UCO was willing to come forward and work with us on that. Their president, Don Betts, and I are old friends. We've known each other since our days at Northeastern, and they were very happy to work with us. They ended up giving me $10,000 a year in transfer scholarships to award to Redlands students who choose to go to UCO. So
Wow.
it's a good start. I'm still wanting more, but it's a good start. You know,
That's great. Wow.
it is. We're very happy. Dr. Julie Flakel-Smallwood and I worked on that together. So it's a good program. We're excited. We'll actually have our first transfer students. We're meeting tomorrow to finalize the list. So
Wow, that's great.
yeah,
That's
Yeah.
cool.
Wow.
That's awesome. Yeah.
So the next question: while attending college, did you participate in any organizations?
Oh yes, I actually did several organizations. Of course, Phi Theta Kappa. I was part of the International Honor Society. I was inducted in the Mu Chi chapter at Connors back in the 1970s, 1978. And then while at Connors, I was part of the New Horizon. We were a recruiting band for the college, so we went out all over the country doing shows at high schools, at state fairs and stuff. We were a modern jazz type band, and we played concerts all over the country to try and recruit students to come to Connors.
Wow.
And it was very successful. We had a lot of good work with
Sounds
that.
awesome.
We
Yeah.
won the Tulsa Talent Show 3 years in a row, and we did a lot of TV work with that, so that was always fun. And then when I transferred up to Northeastern, I did 2 organizations. I was in the journalism program, so I worked with the school newspaper and the yearbook. And then also I worked for the Veterans Upward Bound program that we had there. It wasn't called Veterans Upward Bound like ours is here, but it was basically a veterans outreach program. And so my job up there as a student was to go out and find returning Vietnam veterans. I'm a Vietnam vet. We would go out and find returning Vietnam veterans, get them to use their educational benefits to come to college. And so I did a lot of community outreach work with that. So those were the primary groups in my undergraduate degree that I worked with.
Wow, I'm just like,
Yeah.
Exactly.
like this is, I was just like, wow, this is all awesome.
It seemed you were very busy in your college life.
I try to stay busy. I try to stay busy all the time. That's just a good work ethic my mom and dad instilled in me when I was very young, and I've tried to stick with that my whole life.
Well, it's worked.
Well, it has. Keeps me young.
Yeah.
I've been told that you are still in a band.
Well, I still sit in a lot. I don't play full time anymore, but as a matter of fact, we've got a gig next month in May. We're doing a benefit concert for a veterans group, so I'll be up in Tahlequah playing with a group up there that a lot of my old bandmates in college that we're going to get together and do a benefit show to raise some money to help provide funding for a pavilion that got washed away in the big flood up in Tahlequah earlier last year. So we want to try to rebuild that pavilion for them because they use that for the Vietnam Vets Reunion every year. So this year they don't having it in an alternative location, but we want to try and raise money to help them do that. I still do a lot of benefit stuff like that. I'll play for people that need musicians. I don't have time to play full time anymore, but one of these days I'll get back to it.
So
That's my retirement plan.
Right.
Have guitar, we'll travel.
Okay, so next question. How did you receive the position at how did you receive the position as president here at Redlands?
Well, I had been at Redlands for several years as a vice president. I was originally hired back to Redlands the second time as the vice president for contract continuing and distance education, and that evolved to the vice president of workforce and economic development. So I did that for several years, running auxiliary enterprises for the college, things of that nature. And then back in 2013, the college got into a very difficult financial situation. And because of that, the president at the time was asked to step down, so he resigned. And the board appointed me as acting president. That was June of 2013. And then I stayed as acting president. They asked me to put a plan together to try and get the college out of the bankruptcy. So from June until December of 2013, I was the acting president. And then in December of 2013, they appointed me as permanent president. So it's been a financial challenge. The college was literally on the verge of bankruptcy when I took over. Luckily, I've got a very good, dedicated staff here. But it was by no means me turning the college around. It was everybody being involved, turning the college around. They made a real difference. And we're on pretty good financial footing until the state went bankrupt.
I was there. I remember having the email saying that Redlands was now bankrupt, and it's because of they blamed it on the president, but I'm not sure if it was entirely on that.
No, you can't blame it on one person.
Right.
It was almost a perfect storm of mistakes were made that unfortunately caused us to reach that condition. No one intentionally got us there, but we had our chief finance officer died of a stroke. Because of that automatically triggered an external audit from the state regents, and when they did, they found that we had over $2 million in uncollected revenue. They'd been carrying money on the books and not collecting the revenue, and we had a lot of unpaid bills that hadn't been paid for almost a year. We were almost a year in arrear on a lot of payments. And then, of course, we got hit by the May 3rd tornado. The tornado didn't hit the campus, but the hail and wind and rain damage was so severe, it was almost $2.4 million in damage.
Wow.
So
I
it's
didn't know
sort
that.
of a perfect storm. I mean, and it all came at once, and the college was broke. So part of my plan when they asked me to serve as acting president, I agreed that I would not take the president's salary, and we would use all the salary and benefits of the president's position to help offset the debt. So we did that.
Wow.
That helped us helped get us out of there. Not just that. I mean, we did a lot of frugal things. I mean, we started a campaign of turn the lights off when you leave the room, don't use paper, use overhead projectors for meetings, things of this nature. Everybody pulled together. I mean, we've got a lot of dedicated people here at Redlands. I was just visiting earlier today with a faculty member talking about that, he was a student here at Redlands. He was an athlete at one time. He met his wife when she was a student at Redlands. We've got a lot of people that have stories like that. That's what makes this such a unique place, that people really enjoy what they do and they love giving back. Our brand new board member that'll be coming on board, Dr. David Von Tungel, he started his education here at Redlands, and he sent me an email last night saying how excited he was to be able to come and give back to the college as a board member now. So, I mean, those are the kind of things that make us a really unique school.
Wow, that's crazy. I have found out at like the people that actually are professors here, they started their career here. Professor Hawk, Mike Tabor, a lot of them, they've actually, started here and they ended here.
A lot of our staff, non-faculty members, came here and got their education here. It's really amazing if you look at the total number of people who either started here or else they're a legacy. Their parents started here, so they came here. I mean, Redlands really is a close-knit community and a family almost. And that's what makes it so difficult right now through these hard financial times, because we're having to cut positions and, everybody. We're such a small campus, and it's not easy to make those kind of decisions, because it's friends that you're affecting lives, and you're affecting lives. And that's what I keep trying to express to the legislature is that, you're not just talking about cutting money, you're talking about people who no longer have jobs, so now they're not paying taxes. And so one of the things I've been doing with our legislators is, as they continue to cut our budgets, I actually list the people that live in their district who have lost their jobs and say, here's a constituent that, remember, you took their job away when you cut our funding. And we've got to make it more personal. You mentioned Professor Hawk earlier. He and I had talked. I've gone out and asked our faculty to call their legislators, talk to them about what we're doing, and he was telling me earlier today that he had made phone calls to his representative and his senators, talked about the impact that it's having on higher ed. And, that's the kind of thing we need happening. We need the students out talking to their reps and senators as well, because they've got to have a face to it, not just numbers. It's got to be people, and we've got to talk about how it's impacting people. That's important. That makes a world of difference, because when a legislator actually sees a constituent and they know that they're affecting that constituent, then they listen, because they care about that. I mean, those are the people that elected them. So, they're trying to do the best service they can. So it's important that we all take an active role in trying to help education, because what they're doing is affecting generations, not just the next year or two. It's affecting generations. So it's kind of worrisome. We've got to figure out a way to increase the revenue, kind of like the colleges had to do. We've got to figure out ways to increase our revenue, because the state funding just continues to go down and down.
Right. So for us as students, is there anything else that we can do besides speaking to our local congressman?
Well, be sure to call your local representatives, your senator in your district. Talk to your parents. Ask your parents to make phone calls, because, again, hearing from the constituents is what makes the difference. I know I've had two senators call saying that the stories that they heard from the students and their parents helped them on their decision-making process on trying to hold us harmless. I mean, last year before the budget was finalized last year, we were looking at a 5% budget cut in higher ed. And it was those last-minute attempts by students and their parents calling their representative and their senator that suddenly we went from a 5% cut to a 3.5% cut. That wouldn't have happened had it not been for those people making those phone calls. And so it really is important. I know a lot of people go, oh, well, my phone call is not going to make a difference. But it does make a difference. When I am walking the halls of the Capitol, I have senators and reps that come up to me and say, hey, I heard from one of your employees, I heard from one of your students, I heard from a parent. And they remember those things. So it really is critical that we all work together to try and solve this problem. Because the answer is not increasing tuition. We can't do that. we've heard that a lot at the Capitol. Well, you can always increase tuition. If we increase tuition by the rate that we're getting the cuts, nobody can afford to go to school. So we can't, that's not the answer, and that's not the answer that I take to my board, because we want to keep those tuition and fees low so it is affordable, because that's the key. That's the wonderful thing about community colleges is we're the most affordable education anywhere in the United States, and it's important that we keep that. We've got to have that open door policy, and we've got to be able to leave the two-year college without a lot of debt. And that's what worries me when I see students take out student loans at the two-year level. That's just going to become compounded if they go on and get a bachelor's or a master's degree. And I don't want to see anybody walking out of college with a $20,000 or $30,000 debt hanging over your head before you even have a full-time job. That's just not good for anybody, So we work to keep it more affordable.
Wow. Okay. The next question, it's a little bit more upbeat.
I apologize. I don't mean to be a downer.
No, you're completely fine. I mean, yeah. All right. The next question is, what are your hobbies? Besides, I know that you play the guitar and you have a band. Is there anything else that you like to do?
Oh, yeah. I like to do a lot of things. I like to go camping. I like to go hiking. I do leather work and bead work. I do a lot of different things. Right now I'm spending a lot of time with my family because my parents are getting older, so I'm doing a lot. For a long time, my dad and I farmed and raised livestock, and I've had to kind of let that go as my dad got older. I just don't have time to be out there and do it all the time, but I very much enjoy, I still play a lot of music whenever I can. Lately, I find myself listening to more music than playing music just because I don't have time right now. But it's a good, my wife likes to refer to that as my therapy. If I've had a really tough day at work, she'll say, why don't you get the guitar down and play for a little while before dinner? And it helps kind of chill me out. I like to do photography. I actually took a class here under Larry Clements, who's one of our adjunct professors. Used to be a full-time photographer and ran our print shop for years, and so I like to do photography. So I try to find things that keep me active.
So just like a big jack of all trades kind of thing.
Jack of all trades, master of none. That's
nice.
That's my life. Yeah, that's my life. Yeah.
That's what a lot of people are.
Yes.
A lot of next question is, what do you see for the future of Redlands Community College?
Well, I believe that we will be the best teaching institution in the state of Oklahoma. We have incredibly talented faculty. We've got a very dedicated staff. I do see Redlands recovering from this. We're having to streamline our operations. We're having to make cuts in difficult areas, but just like one of the things we're looking at cutting because of the cost is the swimming pool. And there was an article in last week's El Reno Tribune about it, and it's already stimulated local people to make phone calls about, hey, what can we do to help the college keep the pool open? Because people in the community like to use the pool as part of the Fitness for Life program. So I have a meeting set up next week with the mayor and the superintendent of public schools, and they want to try and help us find a solution to keep the pool open. Wow. I mean, that's nice that the community, sees that element. And one of the things that Redlands will continue to do, we're the second largest provider of concurrent enrollment in the state. And most of ours is done through IETV, Instructional Education TV. So we go into I believe we're in 35 communities this semester doing concurrent. So we're going to continue to, try to grow that. We've got a lot of strong specialty programs here, our nursing program, our criminal justice program, our agriculture programs. They're all very, very strong programs that are very unique with how we do them. I was just at a meeting earlier today with OU on trying to look at expanding what we're doing in criminal justice with OU because we have a partnership with them. So we're going to continue to grow, but we're going to have to be selective in what areas we grow. We're also going to have to look at programs. The thing about a community college that's different than a university is community colleges can cycle programs through as there's more of a demand for programs. If you're at a four-year institution, it takes years sometimes to add something to the curriculum. At a two-year college, we pretty much respond to the demands of business industry. So case in point would be, we started the artificial insemination program in agriculture because we saw a huge demand of stud farms wanting to have technicians trained to be able to do that. So, when you look at our graduation rates in ag, they're high, but a lot of those kids are graduating with their associate degree, but they've also got a certificate in artificial insemination, and they may be working for Express over in Yukon, or one of the horse farms down around Lindsay or Purcell. So, we try to find things that will give students an advantage when they go to work. And, we'll continue to do that. We'll continue to adapt. Even though we're cutting back right now, we're already looking at new programs. I have a meeting with another college president tomorrow about possibly starting a two-way partnership on an associate to bachelor's degree transfer program. So we're just going to have to find new ways to make Redlands efficient and still do the things we do. I know at the meeting at OU earlier today, they were talking about they're getting a lot of students in that need a foreign language class, but they said, the 16-week traditional class doesn't fit for what they need to do. And we said, well, we can give you two different options that aren't traditional. And they said, what's that? And they said, American Sign Language, because we do that through IETV with Southwestern. We send sign language to them, and we can adapt that and work with OU. And then we now offer an online Spanish.
I probably know the answer to this question, but what's your favorite part about being president here at the school?
The students.
That's what I thought it was.
It really is. We work hard all year long, but to me the greatest thing about being in education, especially what we do at the two-year college, is commencement is my favorite day of the year. To be able to watch people who've achieved their goal that they set for themselves, that just is so rewarding to see that happen. And it's not just graduation, because we have students that receive recognition and awards all the time for what they do, and that's what it's all about, is making a difference in people's lives. I helped start the Goals program here years ago when I was here in my first incarnation at Redlands, and I remember one of the students, at that time it was a little bit different program than it is now, because we were able to actually bring people in and get them through an associate degree program. And as federal funding cut, that changed. But I remember being at a arts festival in Edmond, Oklahoma, and I heard somebody in the crowd, Mr. Bryant, Mr. Bryant. And I turned around, and she goes, you don't remember me? And I said, well, yes, I do. I said, you were in our Goals program. And she goes, you do remember me? And I said, yeah. And she said, well, I just want you to know that I went on from Redlands. I got a bachelor's degree and a master's degree, and I'm a teacher now. And all of my kids are going to college. And she said, Redlands changed my life. And to me, that's what it's all about, is changing lives, because, no matter what happens in the world, an education can never be taken away from you. And it's the most important thing we can do for anybody. It truly is the great equalizer, because even if you're not working in your field that you majored in, the diversity of classes and learning helps you become a person that will adapt to whatever is out there for you. And that's something that you can't ever take away. My dad has always stressed to me, my dad went into World War II. He finished the 8th grade, used his older brother's birth certificate, and enlisted. And so, he didn't finish school. And from the time I was a little boy, he always told me, he said, son, education is what will help you open doors that you might not otherwise get through. So please go to school, And of course, my mom and dad couldn't afford to send me to college. That was one of the reasons I got drafted, but I went ahead and went in service, and I used my GI Bill to go to college. And it made all the difference in the world, because I knew I wouldn't be able to afford it, but education is the key. That's what it's all about. And it's important to me that we continue to make that affordable, that we make it available, but that's the best part, is watching our students be successful. I just love to see our students happy. Graduation is fun, because you get to see the families too, and it's always nice to meet the families, because that's one of my favorite parts of the day, is after graduation, parents will come up to me, or grandparents, aunts and uncles, and thank us for what we did. And when we didn't do it, they did it. We just provided them the opportunity to do it, because nobody can give you a grade. You've got to earn it. And that's what it's all about. That's why we do what we do. Every one of us, whether we're in the classroom or in an office, we're here because of you guys, and you make our day. Sometimes unmake our day too. But those are very small. That's the worst part of being president is the discipline side of having people that don't want to do their part, and then we have to kind of rein them back in and convince them, no, you need to go to class, you need to do your assignments. But that's the advantage, like you said earlier, of the small classrooms, because you can't just be someone in the back of the room. You've got to be engaged in a small class, and that's how professors like the ones you mentioned, Professor Tabor, Professor Schottenkirk, Professor Hawk, they bring that out of students. They don't let them just sit in the back of the classroom. They engage them, and that's what makes all the difference in the world.
True.
And we have a whole lot of other faculty that do the same thing. I mean, we've got some wonderful faculty on this campus. I'm very, very pleased with the people we have.
So President Bryant has been talking about how he likes to watch the students get awards. And I didn't know if you guys knew that President Bryant was actually acknowledged at the Phi Theta Kappa Nerd Nation for being the 2016 Alum of the Year. So
Really?
that's like a huge deal because our college got represented for President Bryant being awesome nationally. Like all of the chapters that were there saw his picture and know who he is now. That's kind of a
That's
big
pretty
deal
crazy.
for
Yeah,
us.
That's a good deal.
Yeah.
I was very, very humbled by that. I was very surprised when.
He even got a cowbell out of it.
Yes, I did. Yeah, I got a personalized cowbell. It's in my office, and every once in a while I'll clang it. Unfortunately, I didn't get to attend. I was ill at the time, but I was very, very humbled that they would select me for that because I truly believe in what Phi Theta Kappa does and the opportunity it opens for students.
It was cool for us to just kind of be there because I mean we had one of the smallest regions that attended the conference, but when they announced the award, we all were aware that he was ill, and it didn't matter. Everybody from our region was up, cowbells were clanging. There was so much noise. You could definitely tell we were excited about it. It was pretty cool.
Yeah, I had a friend who was there that it was actually filming.
Oh,
and they
goodness.
actually sent me a copy of it and said, "You need to see this." He says, "Your region is really proud of you," and that was very, very nice.
We tried to be recognized throughout the whole room. We tried to make sure everyone could hear us.
That's very nice for you to mention that. Well, and I wasn't the only one that got awards up there because several of our students got awards up there. It was nice, even though we may be one of the smaller regions. We're always one of the top regions, and that's what's important. Again, though, that's the dedication of the students. You guys make all the difference. You really do. If you guys didn't want to do the things you want to do, it would be boring for any faculty member if we didn't have students that pushed us. Just like the podcast. I mean, you guys brought this to Professor Schottenkirk. You helped instill something new, a new idea. And when she came to me with this idea, I jumped all over it. I said, "This is wonderful. Let's absolutely do this." I love to see students that want to push the envelope, to do more because I'm hoping that 20 years down the road, of course, we don't know where technology will be in 20 years, but whatever it is, that the students want to take advantage of that and do what they do, because I know you reach a lot of students with this, and I think that's really cool that you can do that. Well, it may not be as big an audience as you want, but it'll get there. It'll get there.
In 20 years, you might be talking to everyone throughout the nation live through a microphone.
With the camera.
Yeah. Well, sitting there in front of your laptop, right? Yeah. Actually, it'll probably be a hologram by then.
Yeah.
So,
Like Star Wars just sitting
yeah,
there.
yeah, exactly.
Oh my goodness, I had a question. Do you see any other sports being brought up to in your future?
Well, actually, yes. We declared this year with NJCA, the National Junior College Athletic Association, is who the two-year colleges compete through. And we have to declare sports that we plan on bringing to campus. And actually, we will be bringing soccer, not this fall, but by fall of 2017, we'll start men's and women's soccer. So
That
that's
is exciting.
That's cool.
That could also help enrollment a lot because there's so many people that play soccer.
Yeah.
so-
Exactly. Yeah. Soccer wasn't very big in the community college system in Oklahoma, but actually, when I declared that earlier this year, we do a declaration of intent, and when we declared that, there are now 7 schools in Oklahoma with me coming on next year at the 2-year level. So we've got enough to have a really good competitive league.
Oh, wow.
So we're very excited about getting that started. That's actually a partnership that Dean Nugent worked with the city, because the city has some soccer fields down in Adams Park, I believe is where they're located. And the mayor agreed to let us use those for free. And so what we've decided we'd do is we're going to buy some aluminum benches and put more benches down there for them, because they're not going to charge us to use the facility. That way we can have more people watching, because soccer's really coming up through the middle school and high schools as well.
Yeah.
So we see that as a really good way to increase it, and we don't have to build our own field that way, because that's the big cost. Is it's not really the uniforms or the balls, it's maintaining the fields. So when they made that offer to let us use their facilities, we decided this is where we need to go next. So we're hoping to have that. And then Dean Nugent also wants to start bring back cheerleading. So I know that's not a competitive sport, but it'll support all of the sports that we do.
Well, to
So-
some
well, it is competitive, yeah. As a matter of fact, that's one of the things they've talked about doing, is starting an Oklahoma League where we would do more in-state competitions on that as well.
I know that soccer, it's getting a lot popular now. I mean, I'm noticing they have it's not like the highest level professional soccer, but it's the second level. I think there's like 4 or 5 different. Am I right? There's
Talking
like
about the Oklahoma City.
right, yeah.
Yeah, the energy.
Yeah,
The
the
energy, yeah.
Yeah.
I think they're changing their name, or are
I've
they
heard
making
that.
a new soccer team?
I don't know if it's because we're changing the divisions we're in, but I've heard that they may be changing the name. Right now, the old Taft High School Stadium over on Classen, no, not Classen, it's on May, I believe. You know, they retrofitted that and redid that, and that's where they use for the energy to play now.
I've worked there. It's looks
Have
really
you?
good. Yeah.
Cool. I've been to a couple of games there,
Yeah.
and from what I understand, they're going to be building a new facility when they upgrade to the next level.
Really?
Yeah, so I think that's great. You know, Oklahoma City has really grown radically ever since the MAPS project started. So it's kind of neat to see all the new things that are happening.
Wow. All right. Is there any other questions that you guys have for
Nope.
President
Not that I
Bryant?
can think of right now.
All
Well, I
right.
really appreciate you inviting me today. I really do. It's fun
Oh.
just sitting, getting to visit with you.
Well,
Yeah.
thank you for
You know.
joining us.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah,
glad
it
to.
was a lot of
Anytime.
fun.
Well, I appreciate it very much. And if there's anything I can ever do for you, just stick your head in my door. The other part I love of this job is writing letters of reference for students to get transfer scholarships. So when you're thinking about transferring on to another school, contact me and we'll make sure we do everything we can to help you get a scholarship when you leave here.
All right.
And don't forget us after you graduate.
Oh, I
You know,
definitely won't.
20 years down the road, come back, serve on the board, be in the foundation.
I know that Mike Tabor, we already have a scheduled time in the summer to go watch State of Jones.
Yeah, the
in
new
the theater.
movie.
Yeah.
Oh, really?
We're
Yeah,
like,
'cause
you have to watch this trailer, and he's like, "I'm watching this." He's
'Cause-
like, "We're watching it together."
he taught us that in the history class. We took him. We're like, yeah, we're gonna have to go see it.
Oh, good. That's great. Mike's a good guy.
Yeah.
I like him.
All right. Well, fellow podcast listeners, if there are any comments or questions that you would like to ask any of us, or if you would like to leave a comment or question about the show, feel free to do that on Facebook, Twitter, or Instagram. And if you're interested in Redlands Community College, please go to redlandscc.edu. And as always, dream big, students.
Back in June 1940, so history books say, a young suburban fellow named Ronald Wade raised up his hand and enlisted his name to fight the good fight of the day. The battalion moved north, training next on the course. Wangaratta proud to call them their own. And they moved on together to camp on a Gilla while the Strathmore was waiting at bay. The battalion embarked and sailed off on their way, bound for Tobruk, Guinea and El Alamein. And the souls of these brave men were never the same as they carried the wounded and slain. And as shells pounded down with death felt all around, young Ronald's demeanour retained. And with drinks all around, those boys painted the town just to celebrate Wake in that day.